realistic for you?
Not really. I mean, I think the Fed would want to see more data. You've got the end-of-year sales, which the Fed would probably not want to disrupt. And you've obviously got book closing by a lot of the financial system at the end of December. So I think December is possible but unlikely. The real debate is between January and March.
All right, but no doubt for the next few weeks we are going to see a very nervous market, right?
Well, I think through until the FOMC statement, the market's going to be on the defensive. So it's going to be risk-off profit-taking, where there's profits to still take from this year. So that's obviously sort of the long equity position and the short dollar position. So I think the dollar does well, equities do poorly, treasuries drift a little bit higher in yield terms.
How high does the dollar go?
Well, I think the key one is for us is dollar yen. I think the Bank of Japan is going to ease in the spring. We see a test of 103.75 coming before Christmas, and ultimately we're going to 110 is our 6-month view.
Now we're on FX. Let's talk about the S&P as well today. No one doubts that they're going to stay tough, right?
Well, I think that's the message that will come across quite clearly. The real sort of prospect is that the Swiss franc should eventually roll over, just like the yen, gold and treasuries have lost their safe haven allure. I think the Swiss franc in 2014 will lose that bid, and consequently I think we'll see it roll off. But I think just to sort of try and help it along, I think the S&P are going to talk tough and very committed to the 124.
Interesting piece in the FT this morning, this interview with Peter Prate from the ECB and his push to drive recovery in lending. Tougher on bonds. What's the implication? Well, run us through what this is and what the implications are for government funding.
Well, I think there's two dimensions. I think the first dimension is clear that it's moral suasion from the ECB. We've now had two of the top ECB officials saying they're reluctant to provide liquidity for banks to buy government bonds. But there's also a hint in this article that the ECB asset quality review may involve a modest risk weighting for government bonds versus zero risk weighting. And that would be a real disincentive for banks to buy any further government bonds on a large-scale basis. And this is a real problem for the long end of the Italian and Spanish curves, because the domestic banks have been the large buyers over the last 18 months. And going forward, this general sort of policy from the ECB, I think, means a steeper yield curve for the likes of Italy and Spain.